That's why my shoes are on.
Nice.
Of course her heart is
Yeah.
questions.
What's the mindset after
I think it's really positive. Like going back and watching film and understanding we kind of beat ourselves, and it sucks. It's a crappy way to lose, but I think understanding like a lot of that stuff's in our control to come out and be able to change it, and not panicking. I mean, it's one game, and understanding we got an opportunity tomorrow to come out and be better.
Sab, I was rewatching after one of the Vegas games when you guys were joking about Stewie's wingspan, and you were like, no, it's 7-1, it's 7-1. I wonder, do you say that because you have tried to score over her before and know how challenging it is?
Yeah, absolutely. Playing against her, but then also now being like on the same team, being able to see how she's able to just block so many shots, like redirect passes, get tips, like, she's everywhere on the defensive end, just with her ability to use her hands and her wingspan and use her height to her advantage. So I definitely know firsthand that it's long.
What's it like when you try to go up and score against her at the rim?
I don't. Yeah, I'll just pass out of it.
Not even floaters.
Yeah, not even the floaters. I mean, it's tough. I remember being early on in my career playing against her, and she would switch a lot of the time, and it was like you just don't know what to do because she's able to use her length so well to make you kind of bait you into a shot and then be able to deflect it or make you think that you have a look at the rim and then kind of come out of nowhere and block it. And we're now on the other side of it, but being able to watch how she just rim protects is amazing.
Sab, I saw that your husband and your family were here for game one. How much does that help with kind of everything that comes after that and kind of being able to reset going into this?
Yeah, 25 people here, from California, so it's been really nice to have them all, kind of every step of the way. They're coming to Minnesota as well, so they're kind of along on this journey, but it's great. I mean, saw them yesterday and was able to just kind of forget about basketball for a little bit, especially at this point in the season when you've kind of been on this emotional high for almost a month now of kind of this win or go home mentality. It's nice to sometimes step outside of that and just be around the people that you love and hang out with them outside the court.
Is Ronan still here? Did he go back to Eugene for the game tonight?
No, he's here. Okay. Yeah, he wishes he went back to Eugene. He's all in. We'll be back in Eugene soon, but we'll be watching tonight for sure.
Was that seeing your family and everything? Was that able to flush out the game, or do you still want to enter with a little bit of anger or whatever it was?
No, I mean, I think you don't fully flush it. I think you have to learn from it and understand what they did and the errors that we made. But I think entering with kind of a positive mindset. My husband's really positive. Sometimes it's annoying, but he's been able to help me a lot. I'm kind of got home and you sit there and you start thinking, and he's able to he's like, it's one game. You didn't win or lose. And, being able to just kind of get positive affirmation from the people around me really helps. And so I'm excited for the game tomorrow for sure.
So when you watch this video, do you watch more things that went wrong or what you guys are doing well in the first half?
I think both. Understanding what worked, and then I think going into that second half, spurts worked really well. I mean, we got up big, and I think it's understanding what we did to kind of lose that lead and finding ways to kind of adjust. So I think it's all really positive, and obviously tomorrow's a big game for us, but we've responded all year really well. I mean, we lost game 3 to Vegas and responded really well in game 4, and so I think there's this sense of urgency and understanding of what it is that we didn't do well, and the things that we did do well, keep going at them.
Does it seem like it's more of adjustments or just executing what you're supposed to do better?
I'd say a little bit of both. Obviously the series is going to be a chess match and just figuring out game by game, the adjustments that we have to make. But I would say a little bit of both, understanding what their strengths are and ways that we can, find ways to use our strengths to our advantage better.
Is there anything that surprised you about what they did when you looked back and watched the film, or?
No. They play the same way that they always play. I think it's more of what we did do. I think we were up maybe 15 or 18 at one point. and we slowed the game down, way too much. I think we just got to keep playing, and that's a strength of ours. It's how we got up so much, is by playing our style of play, and I think it'll be a good adjustment going into the next game.
Does it make the adjustments a little bit easier when you know it's kind of like self-inflicted a little bit? Like, hey, we didn't do X. You didn't feel like, oh my gosh, they overwhelmed us with something in one way or another.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it gives you a little bit of peace of mind, right? I mean, if we came into this game and we did everything we were supposed to and lost by 20, it's kind of one of those things where, like, dang, we can't really change our identity, but you go back and you watch film and realize it's all things that are in your control. We mismanaged the game. We didn't, understand what we needed to do with 5 minutes left. We took our foot off the gas. Like, so many things that are in our control, that I think it gives us all a little bit of reassurance knowing going into this next game what it is we want to do in execution, and what it is they're doing, because they changed up a little bit. They were switching, they weren't. So I think it gave us a good understanding of what to expect in game 2.
When games like Sabrina, can it be hard for everybody not to suddenly feel on the island when everybody's, and I don't think panic's a word, but all of a sudden you're getting away from what you normally do. Is that something you learned from a game like that, is to make sure you stay cohesive in those moments?
Yeah, and I think it's understanding what it is that led us to feeling like that. Sometimes when you're in the middle of the game trying to figure it out, a lot of things are happening really fast. And sometimes it's like all 5 individuals are trying to get back to what it felt like to play our style of basketball and not doing it together. And so I think being able to kind of understand what it is we want to do, who we want to get to the ball to, and how, gives us a really good understanding of when we do get in those moments, we kind of are all on the same page.
What do you think about just the matchups? And I think this is true in any sport. Matchups sometimes make a huge difference. The Aces really weren't able to solve you guys this year. In one game, that was it. Minnesota's been tough for you guys to sort of solve. Is there something specific you think about them that's made them a little harder problem to beat for you guys?
I think it's just they don't give you anything easy. They pack the paint, they make you take tough shots, they scramble out really well. They don't just allow the players that normally have the ball in their hand and are able to come down and come off a pick and roll and wheel and deal and set up the offense. They don't allow it as easily, but they're also not perfect. And so I think we understand watching that game, like where we were able to get JJ going, establishing her inside, ways that we were able to get people going, just with our height advantage and our post play, and how that can open up the floor for everyone.
I didn't really get a chance to ask you guys about this because the game was kind of intense, but they announced on Thursday the finals would be best of 7 next year. I just wonder what your thoughts are as a player on that, and obviously that makes it more in alignment with the other professional sports leagues.
Yeah, I like that. I thought it should always be best of 7. I think that's going to be great. I didn't love the 1-1-1. I didn't love the first round being like that, but I don't have a say in it. I thought it should be best of 5, or I don't know. I feel like the top seed should get more of an advantage than just the first home game. Like, it's either should be like baseball where they're all at home, or it should be a best of 5 and you get 2. Because you should get really rewarded for being a top seed. And, I do agree that a bottom seed should have a home game. Like, I think if you make the playoffs, you should be able to go in front of your home crowd and kind of, be rewarded with the ability to play a playoff game at home. But I personally thought there should be a little bit more of advantage if you're a top seed and make it the best of 5. 5-7-7, 5-5-7. But I'm excited. It means more basketball, more playoffs, and more teams are going to be able to potentially get upset in a series.
Can you talk about just the relationship with you and Sloop this year? Second year playing together, obviously. She went through a really tough time this year, and then you grew during that time. But how have the two of you meshed as teammates this year?
Yeah, I mean, we've always respected each other so much, playing against each other, and then playing together. I think it's just kind of opened my eyes to being able to learn even more from a veteran point guard. I never have had that in my career, and being able to watch how she dissects the game, how she approaches the game. She's taught me a lot of how to be a pro, from what she does off the court to on the court, and I don't think anyone can kind of second guess where her head's at this year with wanting to help win a championship. I mean, she went through something that, you never want to go through, and being able to kind of come back and refocus and commit herself to this team, it's left no doubt in our minds of how committed she is to all of us.
Are there moments through the playoffs that you can pinpoint you learned that from Sloot, or being around her enabled you to do something better?
I would say just like her movement without the ball, her cutting, like that's something that I would say not everyone always pays a lot of attention to because she's so good with the ball in her hands, but her ability to read a defense and slip to the basket and cut is something that I've been able to watch and incorporate a little bit more into my game because of how defenses are playing me.
How do elite athletes talk to each other after a tough race? And I say that if one of us has a tough day at work, we might say something to the other, like, hey, building each other up. I don't know how that works. Do you guys talk very much about just specific moments in the game or not? To sort of, I don't know, give each other some, I don't know if comfort is too corny a word, but in some ways maybe you need to do that as teammates.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's understanding what that player needs. There's certain players that you can talk to differently that need either the hard, honest truth. You kind of are able to read them and understanding, like, okay, they might need to be picked up a little bit. And so, after the last game, I would say the locker room was pretty quiet right after the game ended. And then we kind of got to talking all collectively, individually about what happened, what mistakes we made. We took ownership, and that's a powerful locker room when you can take ownership on the things that you didn't do well and kind of commit to doing them better instead of just pointing the finger. Because I think in a situation like that, it's easy to, you should have done this and, pointed the finger. And I think being able to just kind of hold yourself accountable in front of the group, speaks volume about the character of our group.
What do you think is tough about trying to stop a player like Whitney Williams? Not even stop, but sort of,
I mean, she's a veteran player. She's not new in this league. She's not new to what she does, and she does it at a really high level. And you could tell she has a lot of fun in what she does, but also a lot of confidence. Like, she knows the player that she is. She's well respected in this league, and she's going to take whatever you give her, and she's going to make something out of it. And so, being able to see how she's just grown, over the years, and kind of found her home, here in Minnesota, and is playing, I think, the best she's probably played in her career is really exciting to see, and I've always been a fan of the way that she's just approached the game.
Do you think this was an off shooting night, or was it just defense that caused shooting percentage shooting down for everyone?
I'd say it was a great shooting night in the first half. No, I mean, I think we went away a little bit from what worked, and we got the shots that we wanted. I think we rushed them a little bit, but obviously they're a great defensive team. We've known this all year. We're not new to what they do defensively, how they're able to speed you up and not give you anything easy. And so I think being able to go back on film and see a little bit of holes in their defense and ways that we can continue to punish them on the other end was really important for us, and I'm excited to see how we respond to it.
How do you get back up after such a tough loss? There's not too many chances left here. This is such a big game.
Oh, it's on to the next. You can't really dwell on the last one. These games come quick, and it's just understanding. You got to learn from that mistake and just be better and do it quickly because you don't have time. But at the end of the day, we've responded really well all year, and I'm not really worried about how we're going to respond. We just have to come out and have a sense of urgency to do so from the tip.
To go back to how athletes talk to each other, Sloot said after the game, you can't let the emotions of game one shift to the series. How have you all spoken to each other or acted with each other since to make sure that doesn't happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's reflecting off of what we went through as a group, individually, collectively. Like, we lost game one of the semifinals last year at home against Connecticut, and there was kind of that feeling like there was no panic. It was just understanding, like, all right, we just got to be better, and we got to do it now, not rely on the next game and the following games, because you can't do that in the playoffs. And so I think kind of going through that, Minnesota lost their home, game one in the semis, and you were able to see that they're in the finals now. Like it's a series for a reason, and I think you're able to talk about you can't let the last game affect your next one. You just have to learn from it.
Sabrina, I'd like to ask you about the new generation of players that are coming. Everybody talking about Kaylin, about Jessie, but probably you have more names to put there. Which of those players impressed the most when you had to face them during the season?
Man, I mean, this has been such a great class for women's basketball. Obviously, Caitlin's ability to come and transition quickly. I mean, she struggled a little bit early on in trying to figure out how she was going to adapt and what she needed to do. But coming out of that Olympic break, she came out really well and adjusted kind of as quick as I've seen. And so it's been great to see how great she's been in this league and how she's going to continue to get better because she's just scratching the surface.
They are managing pretty well the pressure that they are over them, Angel and Kelly, more outside of the court, not only in the court, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think being able to bring new fan bases into the league and understanding we're continuing to get more and more fans with who they bring from college, and I think that's really important. It's just new eyes to the game and continuing to elevate our game, kind of game by game, I feel like.
Well, this remember you your first year, something from your first year, what you have seen on them?
Yeah, I mean, the first year is tough. I didn't really have a traditional first year, but I think for any transition from middle school to high school, college pro, like you're just learning and being a sponge and learning from the best players. And there's always a transition, and it is hard. And I think, once someone starts getting comfortable and understanding how to be a pro, that's really when their basketball comes out.
That's when if you had to pick one as one of those players, Angel or Kelly, who impressed the most for you?
I can't pick one. I mean, I think they've both done so much for our game. I'm excited for this following rookie class because I think they're just kind of piggyback off of what each class has done and just continue to be better. And so everyone has had such a huge role, from Angel to Caitlin and Cameron Brink, and there's just so many rookies in this class that have impressed us. I mean, we have one of the best on our team with Leo, and obviously, like, we've loved everything that she's brought to us, and she's helped us get to this point.
Thank you.
When the Lynx aggressively switch and take away a lot of the space that you have and Stewie has, what are you all going to have to do offensively in game 2 to counter that?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really seen switching that much. I'd say like in this playoffs, because Vegas didn't switch like that, and neither did Atlanta. So I think that was a little bit of an adjustment, understanding they wanted to keep us in front and not allow any easy looks, but that means we're going to have a 6'4" post player on a guard. So I think it's understanding how we're going to want to be able to get her the ball and understand what we have to do off the ball to be able to maximize spacing.
How can you get Stewie some easier looks in game 2? I mean, there were a lot of possessions where she was just playing one-on-one on Fee, and Fee's the defensive player of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like some easy looks too. It's not something you could really ask for at this point in the season. I mean, they understand what they want to give up, and it's not going to be an easy look for me, for Stewie, for JJ. It's going to be an easy look for someone else, and so I think it's understanding how everyone on the team can help one another just get easier looks by moving off the ball, cutting, applying pressure on the rim to make people have to come help, and then kick outs. And so I think it's a collective unit, that has to all be on the same page of what it is we're looking for and how we're going to attack. And getting Stewie open looks is really important for us, and I think establishing her down low is going to be our best option, because Fee is a great defender, and she's going to be able to make things difficult for Stewie outside the paint. But I think if we're able to get her down in the paint, especially with them switching, it's a tough matchup for anyone.
Stewie was just talking about the experience of watching this film back, just how it felt to watch the game again. Curious what your feelings were when you all were watching through.
Yeah, I mean, frustrating, because we kind of shot ourselves in the foot. But I think with a positive mentality, probably the best thing that could have happened because it's all in our control. Like, they didn't do anything that we don't have an answer for, and so I think that's something that should bring us a little bit of calmness and peace, knowing that, you know, we can adjust, we understand what it is that we did well and didn't do well, and are able to take those adjustments into game 2.
And in terms of some of those conversations about accountability and making changes, how different does this feel this year versus last year in terms of just having that level of trust?
Yeah, I mean, I think last year people internalized a lot more because we weren't comfortable with one another. We didn't really understand what one another needed. And, you know, I would say this year the understanding of just being better teammates for one another. We know each other a lot better. There's a lot, you know, more of an opportunity to be able to speak about what you saw, what you're struggling with, and kind of asking one another for help. And so I think that's probably been the biggest difference, is just being able to talk openly in the locker room.
How does it feel to be able to do that? Like, when you're doing it, what is that feeling like?
Yeah, I mean, it's great because it feels like you're not alone, you know, and I think last year at times everyone wanted the same thing, but didn't really know how to express themselves, weren't sure how it was going to come out and who was going to take what in what way. And I think this year that's kind of been out the door. Like, it's understanding you can say whatever's on your mind. Everyone knows that, you know, each individual is bought in wanting to help this team win, and so there's never really anything that's lost in translation. It's just kind of this open, you know, locker room to be able to talk and speak and say what you see, because everyone's just as important, from the bench players who are able to kind of look out and see what it is that they're seeing. Like, we value their opinion just as much because they're kind of those second eyes for us, and so I think it's allowed everyone, you know, just this to feel very empowered.
Was there a voice from the bench who really made an impact in these past couple of days?
I mean, I think KT always has been able to be positive, but analyze the game from watching it and give us anything that she sees, from tendencies that players are doing to just positive energy and vibes. So she's been able to do that all year and still has.
Very unserious question for you, but do you have was it a double in that Carmex commercial that Kanye did for basketball?
No, it was me.
That was you?
Yeah.
Okay, because the way they cut it out, I've seen it
No,
a
it
million
was
times.
me.
That was you.
Yeah, I was
Did
climbing.
you get it in one take? Or?
No, I told them, like, I got like 3 left in me and that's it, because I was climbing over those basketballs. My head was like hitting the side of the door, and so they didn't get many takes. I'm like, we gotta get in now. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well done.
I'm flexible. I know.
That's gone.
Just assumed. I was like, are you still in touch with them? Like,
That was me. Whatever the team needs.
there you
That's
go.
what I do.
There you go. Brian, I'm sorry. You had to...
No, I got nothing.
Thanks, Sam.
Was helpful for her, but you're going home, that's always the hard part, but she's not here.
How would you describe the way that her game has evolved and how she, it seems like, is willing to play what role she needs to play?
Yeah, and it's a lot of credit to her because, you know, she started for most of her career and being really effective, and we just felt that was the best way for us to go, and that helps with our having 2 playmakers, especially now with B. You know, usually B was one of the playmakers, so now we had to take that off a little bit, and now it has to be Stewie and adapt. But I think she realised this is how she can help the team, and that's how I sold it, because it was you will help us by coming off the bench, because then you're playing with different people that maybe you can give us more pace, changes the pace of the game for us, which was helpful. She can get downhill a little bit, and she just changes it because she can pressure full court and do the thing. So I think it's, you know, I think she's adapted. Took her a few games, but I think she realises how beneficial it can be for us.
Did you, this is the last one, I'll let you, Jackie, but did you feel like the players, just a little bit in this last 5 minutes, were kind of went in their own islands a little bit, and that can happen even through...
Yeah, no, and it was, you know, we had the lead, but you don't, it's still a long time to go.
Yeah.
And it was more like just, we want pace, but then we need execution.
Yeah.
We don't want to take bad shots, and we didn't, you know, they lifted up the pressure. And we didn't roll hard, we weren't establishing JJ. It's the plays that we have, you know, we didn't execute it very well. They pressured us, we'll catch it at half court, we get it back, and then, you know, Sabrina, we want you the ball in the hands, then we'd pinch it, like, dude, we need to pick and roll now, because we got JJ in those middle situations. You know, in the horns action, we'd come off and no one would roll, like, come on, we need movement. But, you know, can't not keep playing when you're up by that much. And I think, and that's tough. And we've been in those situations before, and it's Minnesota just made 9 out of 9. If I remember correctly.
Thank you.
Yeah, number 1.
When the Lynx switch like they were and they take away your space,
Sabrina's?
yes. How do you counter that?
Well, the thing is, she opens up for someone else and says maybe a small for JJ to get open by rolling, because now she has a different, or Stewie has a different defender on her. So we just got to trust that. We've got to keep moving the ball. So once we exploit it, they took it off. I mean, they took it off in the second half. They only switched late. In the first half, they were switching all the time. The second half, they didn't switch as much unless there was separation. So, but getting her off ball a little bit, she's getting her off ball. And when she screens, she's got to be a better screener to get herself open as well.
Is part of that also when it comes to getting Stewie more open looks? Is it Sabrina screening for
movement? Stationary, Collier Kangada, one-on-one. Getting her more on movement, attacking more on closeouts, not just catching it and playing one-on-one.
And so is that have to come from Stewie's decision making, or is that the team's collective?
Yeah, just how we do it. If they want to switch, getting her more out of movement, not just staying on the nail and mixing it up a little bit. But we want that. I think it's just out of movement. We can get that. That can be just reversing it to a 2-minute game. Getting it next action. Her movement has to be her strength.
And obviously, Cheryl makes that adjustment. She brings in Natisha Heidemann, and that seemed to sort of rattle you guys a little bit.
Yeah, we didn't defend her well. We can't allow her to come in. I thought, Saludi had some good moments, but she had some moments I'm sure she would like back too. And we can't play her too aggressive down here, knowing she's a slasher. And she got downhill too much. She made a big 3 from in 13 minutes. She's really effective. And I mean, we can't. We know they're good players, but we can't have a bench player come off and hit us.
So I guess what is that? I guess how do you help Courtney in that situation?
She's smart enough. She's the oldest player who's been in this league for how many years? Right. She knows what she did wrong. So it's like, Slitty, what are you doing? Yes, we want pressure. We got to smart. So she'll be better for the next game. And sometimes you're trying hard, but sometimes execution doesn't come off as exactly how you want it. So we've got to play a little smarter in some of our defense.
And Courtney said some really fascinating things to us. She sort of had this mental maturity to sort of say, like, we're going to feel horrible Thursday night. We're going to feel it. And then once we leave, we're going to move on. Is that something that you preach? Is that something that a mental performance coach helps the team with?
I think it's all. That's for me. It's more like, guess what? We're all disappointed. Tomorrow, come in, it's a new day, the sun's up, let's go, what are we going to do about it? It's a process, focus on the moment. Can't change the past. So, I mean, I think you guys know me well enough. I hated losing, I hated how we lost, but it's more like, okay, how do we all get better? Okay, but then it's like, look, it's a new day, because we can't, that will hold us back if we don't let it go. So we got to come free.
Kills me every time. Thank you, Sandy.
No problem, guys.
Sandy, real quick.